other people and stakeholders and people who are even more informed than I am. And that has helped me make decisions as well.
So you went from less to more and more. Fue hasta ser representante en el Congreso de los Estados Unidos. So you get votes for that, correct?
Yes.
How do you feel getting votes and going, and knocking doors probably, talking to people and people voting for you?
It's very humbling. It's a humbling experience. Te pone en una posición que estás muy vulnerable. You're very vulnerable because you're going to somebody's house or you're going to a group setting and you may not know people there. Some may be friends, some may be not. Some may be questioning you, attacking policies that they're not in favor of or whatever it might be, but you stand your ground.
So what was your drive to do that? Because your life is a continuous ascension, more and more. What's your drive?
I had a lot of support. I had different organizations, different people supporting me, and they believed in what I was accomplishing.
You as Hilda, what's your drive inside you that force you or invite you to take higher and higher responsibilities?
I think part of it is wanting able to show, especially our community that's vulnerable in many ways, that there are many opportunities and to take advantage of it and don't be afraid of it. Don't run away from it. To take what is there and try to make the most of it. And sometimes it doesn't work out for some people, and sometimes it takes a while, and when it does, you're surprised. I'm surprised sometimes. There's many days where I'm like, wow, I wasn't expecting to see so much maybe positive response from people I've never met. And then on the other hand, there are meetings where I have with people that may not always go their way or my way. And that's human nature. But you deal with it. You deal with it.
So you were in Congress, and then once you get a call from the White House, and a president is asking you to become secretary. Secretary of
Labor,
de Trabajo, Secretaria de Trabajo. So what do you go through your mind? ¿Qué pasó en su cabeza cuando usted dijo, wow, a president is calling me to serve? What do you feel or what do you think?
Well, at first I was kind of taken aback, thinking, is this really happening? ¿Cómo puede ser esto? How is this coming about? But sometimes we don't stop, I guess, to look back. I just keep looking forward. And, I do know that when I was in Congress, I worked on many issues that President Obama, then Senator Obama, we worked on together on environmental justice. We worked on, trying to combat high unemployment amongst our young people, working on better access to health care for all minority groups, especially for Latinos in my situation. And there were a lot of commonalities. And I suppose his staff, who was actually kind of catering to me, saying, Hilda, we really want you to come on board and support Obama, very early when he first declared, and I was hesitant. In fact, I was helping Hillary. And look what happened. He ended up putting Hillary as his Secretary of State. Right. And then I was very, very surprised that I got asked to serve, because I was out there, helping Hillary. And sometimes people don't forget that, but he was a big enough person to see that there was much more to be offered here.
Now,
and I'm grateful for that.
Of course,
I'm very grateful.
Of course. And now, when you at the beginning of this conversation, you said something that I just want to bring back to this conversation, to this point. You said being a Latina and a woman, is double. Negatives,
yeah. Two, for me, though, it was 3 strikes, because I started young. I knew I was Latina and also, a minority, right? I mean, there's all that.
And a woman.
And a woman, gender, yes.
Yeah,
so,
gender,
yes,
ethnic and age.
And even the fact that I didn't go to Ivy League schools. I didn't go to Yale. I didn't go to Harvard. I went to state-funded schools, and I went to a private university here. It's pretty well known. But that was my upbringing, and my parents we were poor. We were very poor.
Now, when you are presented to be a member of the cabinet, you need to go through approval through Congress.
Confirmation
so
by the Senate.
Confirmation by the Senate,
Yes,
correct?
yes.
So you go there, you sit in the hot chair,
Yep.
hot seat. Did you think about being woman, Latina, and young as a, the 3 strikes that you will never pass?
No.
How do you feel in that moment? Because that moment probably is so...
Oh, I was nervous, but not because of that. I was more nervous about what questioning they might put forward, because you had Republicans and Democrats, and obviously there were a lot of Republicans who did not want to see me approved as a Secretary of Labor, and it was hard. It was a very grilling process, but I knew what I had. I prepared myself for that interview, and I, went through many sessions to prepare for that. In all of my hearings, you do that. You have to prepare yourself.
Of course, but you have the same drive. What I'm trying to go to is the same Hilda.
Yeah, that was fighting.
Fighting
the
again,
counselor that said I couldn't go to college. I said, no, aquí estoy presente, estoy lista para presentar mis valores y las temas que ustedes quieren discutir. Here I am.
So you don't take a
let's
no.
Let's go at it. Let's go at it.
Yeah. And that's
no me da miedo, entonces. Yeah,
that's the lesson,
that's part of that could be good and bad too.
Yeah, sometimes you make mistakes, or you're too stubborn.
Yes,
because
I have been called that, stubborn.
Sometimes it's very difficult to determine the difference between stubbornness and wisdom. Sometimes you think that you're always right, and you come out like stubborn, but how you control that.
And a lot of it is based on your experiences. I try to base a lot of my decisions on my experience of what I know of human behavior and the things that I've had to go through.
So, what's failure for you? I don't know if you had failures in life, in your experience.
Everyone has some regrets or failures, but I think, what are my failures? I would just say that I think, had I known more about preparation, always being better prepared, especially in school, in high school, I think that's so important for young people, and to really think outside of their own household, because sometimes we think we're limited because of where we grew up. Our parents are maybe working really hard, and we don't see a way out of it. Not to think about that is encapsulating everything, to break out of it, to think about what else can you do to change your circumstances, because you can. Just because you're born a certain way doesn't mean you have to stay that way. And I think that's the drive that I have, or many of my siblings have it too, because some of my sisters I'm very honored with what they've been able to do in their professional life. I have 2 sisters who are engineers, and 1 sister who's a PhD in public health.
So what's success for you?
Success is comes in different ways. Success is also being able to solve problems, meet those challenges, and get to whatever compromise or position that is going to help provide the greatest benefit to me.
How would you fight prejudice? Because you have experienced prejudice in your own experience.
My own life.
Your own life.
Yeah.
What would you say? Because we Latinos, we always go through some kind of prejudice or whatever. What's your advice on how to overcome prejudice?
My father would tell us early in our childhood that don't be ashamed of who you are. Respect yourself and respect others. And that's what's most important. And hold your head up high. Don't be ashamed of your ethnicity or your race, or even if you're poor, my dad would say, don't even think about that. Just be respectful of yourself and be respectful of other people.
So if someone comes out to you telling you, racist things, how would you handle? Of course, you are in a position that you can theoretically talk about it. No puedes decir teóricamente cómo sería, but what's your advice if somebody comes to you? Because sometimes when you have darker skin, other people, don't take it easily, and they go, and they tell you awful stuff.
Oh, I hear it here at the board meetings. We have people who come and talk to us, and some speak very badly about our community or about Latinos or Latinas or immigrants, and why are you helping undocumented people or people who are illegal or those people who just come here to take advantage of government services. I've always had that. People clash on that issue, and some even from our own community who say that, like, oh, how come they don't wait in line to get their citizenship? Why should the DACA students come to the front of the line? I don't agree with that. I think they should be given opportunities. If they are on a right path, if you are on a right path, everybody should get a second chance. And I think it's really important now because in this county, at least 60% of the population in many of our cities are already Latino and Hispanic.
Right. Now, una persona que usted admire más que nada en el mundo, aparte de su familia. Do you know anybody, or do you think about someone that you really admire?
I like Dolores Huerta. She's a good friend, but she's still a labor leader, and she's a fighter for women's rights and on health care and on many, many things. I've known her for many years. But I've admired, since growing up, my parents. I never got to meet the man, former president of the United States, John F. Kennedy, who was part of the values I think that my mom and dad shared with me in terms of politics, how this man, had he had more opportunity to serve as president, could have done so much more to provide relief and assistance to poor people and to people of color, because he was already demonstrating it through his actions as a senator and as a president.
So if you would be, let's say, in La Fantasia in front of him, what kind of a question would you ask him today?
I would ask him. I would just want to listen to whatever he had to say, because I think he had a lot of knowledge and he was far ahead of his time. But I did have an opportunity to meet his daughter, Caroline Kennedy, who presented me with the Profiles in Courage Award, and that's a prestigious award that in the past, in 2000, I was given that award. But prior to that, they had annually given this award out to mostly men, all men. So I was the first woman and a Latina that was given this award. And it was based on my work on environmental justice and also on labor rights, because we passed the minimum wage through a statewide initiative that I was a part of to help the state of California in that time raised the minimum wage from $4.25 to $5.75, and it had never been raised in the past 7 years at that time, and we were able to do it, but we did it on a statewide ballot initiative, and we worked really hard to raise money and organize people.
So usted ha sido la primera en muchas cosas. For instance, you were the first woman Latina to be member of a cabinet. So you were a secretary, un ministro que le llaman en Latinoamérica, o secretario. That's amazing. Then now you mentioned that recognition. Mm-hmm. Do you have a particular habit, a secret that you do like every day in your private moments that actually helps you to be such an achiever?
I think I'm pretty normal, pretty average. I don't, I think, I really can't point to anything. I think it's your mindset, how you think, if you're an optimist or a pessimist. I think I'm an optimist. Even though bad things are happening, I may say they're bad, but in my heart, I know that we're going to overcome that we're going to be able to get through the day, and we're going to see another day, and we're going to be able to do more things, and we're going to be able to have an optimistic outlook. So and I think that's really important to wake up in with that state of mind. It's not good to be in a depressed or anxious state of mind. It's not good for us also to kind of shelter ourselves and stay enclosed and not open to new ideas or to people. That's the worst thing that can happen. And I see that happening in many ways with our own community. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of negativity, and we can't afford to buy into that. We should be optimists. And I think we are. Our community is like that. We're always, in spite of what's happening to us so hard in our lives, we sacrifice, that we still overcome.
Right.
We still overcome.
Yeah, and you see, we Latinos love to laugh. We are always, happy. Of course, we have issues.
And we're happy with our families. Our family is the center of our attention, and that's what my center is, my family.
So, entrepreneurs, going back to entrepreneurs, you were talking at the